So Sarah Huckabee Sanders has penned an op-ed for why she believes that the new prison that they want to put in Franklin County should be funded. So I'm going to share the op-ed, then I'm going to share my thoughts. This may be two parts. So it says, ICYMI opinion, Governor Huckabee Sanders, finish the job, fund the prison, public safety. The Arkansas Democrat Gazette published Finish the Job, an op-ed by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders on why the legislature should appropriate funds to build a new prison in Franklin County. It's been 2 decades since Arkansas made significant investments in its prison infrastructure. That's 2 decades of chronic prison bed shortages, 2 decades of releasing violent offenders back into society because of lack of space, and 2 decades of worst in the nation's crime rates. Enough is enough. Arkansas has a chance to address this crisis head on and help end our state's prison bed shortages, but we need to act now. The legislature must appropriate the funds our state needs to build a new prison. Government has no greater responsibility than protecting its citizens' safety. Not long ago, some left-wing states listened to quote unquote defund the police activists and cut funding to law enforcement and prisons, with predictably disastrous results. I was elected in part because of my promise to do the opposite by supporting law enforcement and cracking down on violent crime. That's why I worked with the legislature to pass the PROTECT Act, ensuring violent criminals do their time before they re-enter society, and why we've already opened up 1,500 prison beds in existing facilities. But our state is still short thousands of prison beds. When inmates aren't placed in state-run prisons, they are put in county-run jails that aren't equipped for the burden of long-term incarceration, costing taxpayers around $30 million each year. My administration is moving quickly to build a new 3,000 bed facility in Franklin County that will boost that area's economy while building a safer, stronger Arkansas. The state has set aside the funding we need to get the project started, and the legislature approved a new prison by voting for the PROTECT Act. Now, those same legislatures must finish what they started, appropriate the full cost of our new prison, and let our state move forward. Arkansas simply can't afford to kick the can down the road any longer. Imagine 2 inmates, each convicted of a violent felony and sentenced to 10 years in prison. The first inmate is sent to the state's Wrightsville unit here in Pulaski County and enrolled in a program called Pathway to Freedom. I visited Pathway to Freedom, so I can tell you what it's like. His schedule is packed with job training and classes to improve his social and emotional skills. He deepens his faith, learns how to handle conflict resolution, and acquires the capability to re-enter society and fulfill his God-given potential. He is less than half as likely to recommit and return to prison as other inmates stuck in county jails who don't have access to quality programming. The second inmate isn't so lucky. He is bounced around from county jail to county jail. He is in a facility designed for petty criminals, but he's a hardened felon. It's not long before he gets into trouble. Before I signed the PROTECT Act, the state would have likely let this inmate go on parole early, sometimes years before his sentence was supposed to be up. Once he's out, there's about a 50% chance that he recommits and finds himself back behind bars within 3 years. Unfortunately, the second story is much more likely than the first. That's bad for the inmates themselves, and more importantly, it's bad for public safety. There are more than 3,600 individuals who have been in and out of our prison system more than 4 times. One individual has been through the revolving door a shocking 21 times. Clearly, these people aren't being rehabilitated. They're just biding their time before they can terrorize the public again. We need to make real changes to our prison system, which is why I have prioritized rehabilitation programs like Pathway to Freedom. But that can't happen if we don't have enough prison beds to fit all our inmates and instead overcrowd county jails or release criminals back into our communities. Arkansas has a chance to turn the page on our decades-long cycle of ignoring violent crime, instead cleaning up our streets and ensuring violent felons aren't released until they serve their time and hopefully been rehabilitated. Reject the tired excuses of politicians who don't want criminals behind bars. Fund their prison, public safety, and a better future for all Arkansans. Well, it didn't take me nearly as long as I thought it would to read all that BS. So here are my thoughts. Okay. A majority of the people that are in and out of prison all the time, that are stuck in that revolving door, they're addicts. And a majority of the time, addiction is not going to be solved by going to prison. A lot of times, and I don't have the percentage right now, I can find it if you want, but a lot of times, addiction is a combination of an issue of addiction and mental health issues. And those are not being treated in an Arkansas state prison. They're just not. They're never going to be. You can stick a person in prison and make them serve their full sentence, but when they get out, they're still going to be an addict. They're going right back to their environment that they came from because they have to parole out to a family member, and they're going right back to their addiction 9 times out of 10. 50% of these people that leave prison reoffend. Why? Because they're addicts, and addicts do things like steal. Sometimes they commit domestic violence or other crimes of that nature. No, I'm not talking about real serious crimes. I'm not talking about, murder or rape or anything like that. I just mean like the lower level crimes to get by, or crimes because of the addiction. Also, there are over 1,000 people in Arkansas State Prison right now with drug charges. Drugs are a major problem in Arkansas. We all know that. I think that what needs to happen, rather than spending money that this state doesn't have, because let's face it, there are many, many kids that struggle with food insecurity. My own family struggles with food insecurity. So there are so many people that struggle with food insecurity in the state. Our education system sucks. I mean, so many things about this state suck. We are last in just about everything, right? Or first, depending on how you want to look at it, but it's not good either way. Now, there are programs in communities. I know for sure Crawford County has a program and has had for years, where if a person commits a crime, they sentence them to go to the adult education center, get their GED, get OSHA or job training, and connect them with employers so that they can get jobs, which helps them to get out of that revolving door of being in trouble all the time and gives them hope. There are other communities, other counties that are adopting similar programs now. There are counties that have adopted mental health court programs to help people that have mental health issues, which a lot of people in Arkansas State Prison have mental health issues. There are drug court programs, and I think a combination of those programs are what's needed to help Arkansans. Now, granted, there will always be people that need to go to prison, people who harm children, people who unalive other people, people who are sex offenders. Those people belong in prison, yes, of course. And sometimes addicts do too. But I feel like that if we take these programs, instead of sticking them in a prison, and have them happen in the community, that it would be much more effective. Now, this is just my opinion. I just don't feel like locking people up forever, locking people up for years and years and years is the answer to the problem, because we're going to keep sticking people in prison. That prison's going to get filled. The new prison that they're trying to build in Franklin County is going to get filled, and then they're going to need a new prison. And it's just going to keep going because we're sticking people in prison without allowing them to re-enter society for years at a time. So then what happens? There are a ton of people right now in county jails waiting to go to prison. So how many of those are going to fill up that new prison that they're trying to build in Franklin County, and then they'll automatically be in need for another prison soon after? Just think about it. What is your opinion on the new prison, the need for the new prison? Do you think that there are other answers? Do you think throwing people in prison is the answer? I'm open to hearing all of your opinions.